Whose house? Yeah, that's right. It's the Cowboys' house, and it definitely sounded like that down in Los Angeles at that fancy new stadium of y'all's at SoFi Stadium. The Cowboys, 4-1, 4 in a row, 22-10. Let's talk about it.
Down the field, Lamb, 10-5, victory! Touchdown, Ezekiel Elliott. How about the rookie Micah Parsons? What a play!
Defense wins championships, but the Super Bowl is won by the quarterback.
Man, oh man, guys, this game proved a lot. And if you've been watching me, thank you. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for following me on my social platforms. But one thing you should know is that last year, probably around this time, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to compare here. But last year, when we were going on that really strong run and we were 4-1, then we went up to 6-1, I was really resistant. I was holding back. And I kept saying to myself, and I kept saying to y'all, you know, watch my post-game reaction videos, watch my pre-game prediction videos. I just kept saying to myself, this is good. We're taking care of the teams that we should. But I really want to see this team take down a competitor, someone that we know that's good. And this year, it's early on. I get it. It's a long season. Injuries happen. Things happen. I get that. I tell you that all the time. But what the Cowboys are doing right now is special. It's special for so many reasons. And I cannot help but buy in. And I told y'all in my pregame prediction video that I'm starting to buy in. Yeah, I'm buying in this team. And I believe not only in our offense and our defense led by Dan Quinn, but I'm also buying in to Mike McCarthy, who I believe has been a fantastic head coach. I know he is, on the hot seat just because being the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, that is a huge position. But even going back to the first season where Dak Prescott got injured, you look at those last 7 games, we went 4-3, and he put together a pretty good run against for a really bad roster if you look back at that year. Last year, finally has his quarterback. Finally has all these weapons. What does he do? He wins the NFC East, goes 12-5. This year, loses his quarterback. The first game of the season. And he's winning. He's helping this team win. Because it's 4-1. We haven't lost a game since that season opener. Funny enough, I went to that game too. So the Cowboys are 4-0 when I don't show up. But this is special, man. And I'm so excited. It's just kind of like, what do we dive into? There's so much good stuff in this game to take away. And let's just go ahead and talk about this defense. Holy smokes. This defense holding another opponent under 10 points. Are you kidding me? That is ridiculous. Another team as explosive as the Los Angeles Rams can be, they were held to 10 points. 5 sacks from the Dallas Cowboys. And if I'm looking at my stat sheet here, Jordan Lewis got a sack. Osa Odigizua, Dorrance Armstrong got a sack. So many players got in on the fun, and Micah Parsons is back with 2 sacks. I'm actually kind of surprised at the Jordan Lewis one. When did he get a sack? Someone's got to comment down below. I watched the whole game. Jordan Lewis got a sack? Anyways, 5 sacks. I had predicted that we were going to get 4 sacks. Cowboys one up me. They got 5 sacks, which is just incredible. And I'm so happy for Micah Parsons, man. Those last 2 games were really tough. Obviously, the first game against the Giants on Monday Night Football, he was dealing with an illness. And then the second game, I felt he wasn't as explosive. And part of me is wondering if he's dealing with something that they're not talking about. Because obviously the illness was a little bit more effective than led up to believe. And then last week, he just wasn't having that same explosiveness off the line, even though he was really close to 1 sack on Carson Wentz. And then today, obviously, he was dealing with something. He was dealing with his groin, which, good God, I hope you're okay. I hope you're okay. Sit in that ice bathtub, relax, enjoy the win. No one touch Micah. Let him be. Let him rest up. And then, as I predicted, I said we were going to get 1 interception, and Malik Hooker went away with that interception. So kudos to him. And I said, well, here's the thing too. I also said that it was gonna be the first time that they let up on 20 points. I was completely wrong with that. They only allowed the Los Angeles Rams to go to 10 points. But this is crazy. And I said this a while ago, that if it's not Micah Parsons, it's probably DeMarcus Lawrence. And if it's not DeMarcus Lawrence, well, if it's not those two, it's probably Dorrance Armstrong, who's been an incredible, solid defensive end after we let Randy Gregory go to the Denver Broncos. And if it's not Dorrance Armstrong, we've seen it be Dante Fowler Jr., our recent free agency pickup. But this is crazy. This is how stacked and how well the defensive line for the Dallas Cowboys is. Because if it's not any of them, you still got to account for Osa Odigizua, who got a couple of plays today, Sam Williams, our recent rookie draft pick from this past class, and oh yeah, Tristan Hill. Oh, and Neville Gallimore. This defensive line is the most stacked I may have ever seen a Dallas Cowboys defensive front ever be. This is dangerous for any team that is going to try to come at us. And I'm worried for the Philadelphia Eagles because the Cowboys not only have a lot of talent at the defensive front, but they got a man whose name is Dan Quinn, the eye in the sky who overlooks the field. And the way he's scheming up these blitzes and these rotations, it's a lot of trouble. And I'm scared for the opposing quarterback's health. I'm scared for them because not only, if you're successful holding Micah Parsons down, good. Now you got to deal with DeMarcus Lawrence and so on and so forth, like I just listed. I'm not going to go through all the names again because there's just so many. And that's how great this defense is. It was incredible seeing the depth of our defensive line play today. Most of the game, obviously, DeMarcus Lawrence started off the game strong with the Dorrance Armstrong strip sack. DeMarcus Lawrence took it to the house, which is incredible, which is probably the play of the game for me because it just set the tone. But just on run plays, the Cowboys enforced their will. And we got to see Osa Odigizua, Neville Gallimore. We saw him a lot more last week. Sam Williams get into the mix today. Tristan Hill. It's just incredible. And the way that Dan Quinn is coaching up these guys, I will always remember when Dan Quinn was hired as a defensive coordinator. One of the first clips that came out of training camp was him coaching up these guys. Yeah, doing exactly that. But they were coaching up. He was coaching these guys up. Like, you got to put your hand right here. You got to pull up right here. These guys that, under the Garrett era, may have been a bust. I would have loved to seen Taco Charlton with Dan Quinn. I wonder what he could have done with him, right? But it just makes a point of how important coaching really is. And talent can only take you so far. But the ability to be coachable and the luxury of having a coach that coaches is something that the Cowboys have right now, and it is deadly. And you know what's interesting? In my season prediction video, I said that for me personally, looking at the roster and before we even played a snap, a preseason, or even regular season football, I said it's hard for me to understand how this team is going to win more games than they did last year. Because in my opinion at the time, I thought the Cowboys had a more talented roster last year, and now they don't. But for some reasons, I'm watching these games, I'm watching both of the seasons almost being identical. I'm really liking this team a lot more than what I saw last year, and I think they're better. Because if I look at the schedule here, we gave up 29 points against Tom Brady in the season opening last year, then 17 against the Chargers, and then 21 against Philly on Monday night, and then 28 against the Panthers, and then 20 against New York. Those are the first 5 games of the season. Then you look at us right now, we haven't let up 20 points. And we're playing caliber quarterbacks and offensive. We played Tom Brady, we've played Joe Burrow, we've played the GOAT, Daniel Jones, Carson Wentz, and now Matthew Stafford. I mean, 3 out of 5 of those quarterbacks are pretty significant in today's league. And 3 of those quarterbacks you could find on anybody's top 10 list of top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL right now. The Cowboys have found a formula to win, and it's winning in the trenches, not only establishing themselves on the defensive part of it, but also the offensive part of it. You like that transition? Yeah, I like that transition too. The Cowboys established the running game today. Something I didn't think that they were going to be successful at. And I was kind of worried, and I talked about this in my pregame prediction video, but this was something that I was kind of worried about going in, because Aaron Donald is just a Hall of Famer. And that first half scared me to death because I saw how much he was controlling the game. And how much, I'll put it this way, how many lessons he gave our rookie Tyler Smith on the end. Tyler Smith is a great pickup, and I've been vouching for him, and I've been advocating for him. I think he's going to be a great left tackle for us for years to come. That's not to say that there are going to be some lessons to learn in the NFL. If Tyron Smith had to go through it and learn a few things in his first couple of seasons, well, if you're Tyler Smith out of Tulsa, yeah, you're going to have to learn a few things. And I got to give kudos to the Rams. I love what they did with Aaron Donald, moving him from his original position in the defensive tackle to moving him to the defensive end and creating that matchup. Because every time they did, Aaron Donald won that matchup. And it was at crucial parts of the game. But like back to what I was saying, establishing the running game I thought was going to be a little bit difficult for the Cowboys today. And they did exactly that. Oh my gosh, I'm looking at these stats right now. I'm just amazed. 8 carries for 86 yards from Tony Pollard, averaging 10 yards, 10.8 yards, had the touchdown, which was 57 yards, which was, that's runner-up for play of the game for me. Just beautiful running. And then Ezekiel Elliott, ooh, you gotta love this stat that I'm about to read to you, because this is what we always want to see as Cowboy fans. 22 rushes. Is that above 20? Yes, it is. 22 rushes, 78 yards, 3.5 yards a carry. His longest was 12. No touchdowns for Zeke, but that's okay. So we ran the ball 30 times, obviously ran over 100 yards, and established our tempo of Dallas Cowboy football. We dominated you on the defensive side, and we controlled that line, and then we also did the same thing on the offensive side. I told y'all in my pregame prediction video that the Cowboys, if they were going to win, this was going to be a war in the trenches, and the Cowboys did exactly that. They won on both sides of the football, and it showed, and they succeeded, and they have a great formula right now. Now, here's my take on the offense. And here's my take on the Dak Prescott versus Cooper Rush situation, because we got to talk about it. If you notice, I haven't talked about it too much because I think it's one of the most ridiculous conversations that can be had between Cowboy fans right now. Because if you want to so call it, team this, team that, I am team Dak Prescott. And I thought last week's game was completely evident to the fact that this team is missing Dak Prescott. I will further exemplify that point and continue to state that this team is missing Dak Prescott by showing you this week's footage. If you look at the All-22, if you look at the stats, if you look at the highlights, the Dallas Cowboys offense is severely missing Dak Prescott. And I'll tell you why. To me, it's evident in the way that they're calling these games. And that's not to negate the fact that Cooper Rush has been nothing but clutch. The throws that he's making, they're on cue. They're just right on the dot. He's throwing incredible passes. And that's not to take anything away from what Cooper Rush has done, because that's something that not a lot of other backup quarterbacks could do in this league, is make the passes that Cooper Rush has had and the way that he's been protecting the ball, which he did a fantastic job today. There was no near interceptions today. But I believe they're missing their quarterback that can take their offense. They're missing their starting quarterback because he's the one that can take their offensive game to the next level. There are throws that Dak can make, and there's some that Rush can't. Dak is special. And I think what you see in the Cowboys right now in their offensive play calling is they're not really trying to be aggressive. They're really just trying to give Cooper Rush the best chance that they can give him to win the game. They're setting him up in situations that they know that he's capable of succeeding in, and they're doing it wonderfully. And that's a huge, great job to Mike McCarthy as well as Kellen Moore. And what you see here is they're calling a smart game. They're being very smart. I wouldn't say it's either conservative or it's aggressive. I think it's just smart. If you can keep the ball out of Cooper Rush's hands and you can give it to your running backs who we know are capable of running and give it to them 30 carries, and we saw that last week, and we saw that the week before, and then maybe we can depend on our quarterback to make about 5 passes. Because if you look at the stat line, 10 completions out of 16 attempts, 102 yards, no touchdowns. That's the stat line for Cooper Rush. And he was sacked 3 times. And he had a QBR of 16.8. This is the guy that you want to replace Dak Prescott? I got the stats right in front of you. 10 of 16, 2 yards over 100, no touchdowns. But probably the most important statistic, no interceptions. But he made the passes when he needed to. There's no denying the fact. I hate the fact that this argument is set up by saying that you either had to love Dak Prescott and hate Cooper Rush or love Cooper Rush and hate Dak Prescott. There can be a healthy middle where I can appreciate what Cooper Rush has done for this team, and he has played above what the average backup quarterback would be in the NFL, and also appreciate the fact that, hey, I know my starting quarterback, Dak Prescott, who's injured right now, he can totally elevate this offense to a whole nother level when he comes back. And I can respect the fact that Cooper Rush has held the fort down more than enough and has won every single game that he's backed up Dak Prescott for. There's a healthy middle, and I hope one day we can meet in the middle. But I believe Dak Prescott is the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. And I will make the hot take, the prediction, whatever you want to call it, that right now the offense is struggling. We see it. It's obvious. We've seen it in the past 3 games. But in moments where their numbers have been called, every single player has stepped up. And I will say that when Dak Prescott comes back, this team will be the best team in the NFL. Dak Prescott will elevate this offense to a whole nother level. The defense will continue to hold underneath 10, and this offense is going to soar, and they're going to score more than 28 points a game. That's what you can expect when Dak Prescott comes back. And I will also say this, there's no rush of getting him back. Because even when we play Philadelphia Eagles next week on Sunday Night Football, I'm really excited. I would really love to give them their first loss of the season, and I'm going to make a pregame prediction video about that. But it's not the end of the world if he doesn't play. This is the best case scenario that we could have been in right now as Cowboy fans and the Cowboys team and the organization. 4 games in a row without Dak Prescott, So there's my take on the whole controversy. I would love to hear you guys' take. If you want to comment down below, we can battle it out. CeeDee Lamb had 5 receptions for 53 yards, no touchdowns. Michael Gallup had 4 receptions for 44 yards. Part of me really would appreciate the fact if these players could make the catches in the big moments. Now, Michael Gallup, he had that big play. So he's off the hook. CeeDee Lamb, though, you did lead in receptions today. Yes, that's what a number 1 should do. But you missed a pretty big grab right there, and let's just be glad it didn't amount to anything. It didn't cost us anything. But last but not least, Mike McCarthy is coaching a complete football team. This is something that I was so adamant about the fact when Jason Garrett was coach, is that he would always emphasize on one thing over the other. But we need to understand that football, the game itself, is a team sport. And there's 3 phases to it. Offense, defense, special teams. And Mike McCarthy, when he brought in Coach Fossil, when he brought in Coach Bones, I knew it was about to go down. Honestly, I promise to God, that was the moment I knew. Because it's like, finally, we're gonna get some attention to detail. And the Cowboys right now are playing really great football in all 3 phases. The offense, statistically, yards, it could be a little bit up, but they're being effective. They're converting when they need to. They're scoring when they need to. When we need them, they answer. And they put together great drives. And the defense is ready for a Super Bowl. And the special teams is the one that is setting the tone. Brett Maher only missing 1 field goal on the season? There's just so much relief in the fact knowing that I don't have to clench when I'm watching Brett Maher go for a field goal. I can just relax in the fact that, he's going to make that 3 points. Let's figure out what to do next. And the special teams, Brian Anger, back-to-back, Back-to-back whiffs on the punt right there, but I think you'll be fine. He's a Pro Bowler, so he'll get a pass. And the ability to block kicks and to play the field position game is really advantageous. But I'm loving what I'm seeing here. Like I said last week, and I'll say it again, I believe in this team. I'm buying in. I'm all in. They could very well be better than the team last year. And that's crazy to say because they don't even have their starting quarterback right now. And they haven't had him for the past 4 games. But I'll say it one more time. When Dak Prescott comes back, this will be the best team in the NFL because he will elevate this offense. And that defense is going to keep rolling. But other than that, be sure to like, be sure to comment what you thought about the entire game, what you think about the Dak and Coop situation, and be sure to subscribe and follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, and follow me on TikTok. We just hit 10K on TikTok, which is really awesome. But I appreciate it, guys. Cowboys are 4-1. It's a good feeling. We got a big game against the Eagles. So I'll see you guys next time for the pregame prediction video. Last but not least, go Cowboys!
Looking down the field, Lamb, 10, 5, victory! Touchdown, Ezekiel Elliott. How about the rookie Micah Parsons? What a play!
Defense wins championships, but the Super Bowl is won by the quarterback.